Okay, Montreal brides, I wanted to take a quick break to let you know it's not too late to grab tickets to the Elegant Wedding Bridal Show on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, right here in Old Montreal. I went to the event last year with my fiance and our moms, and we left with inspiration and ideas for our wedding. I have since hired so many of the recommended vendors. Let's just say I have my wedding cake, transportation, florals, and so much more sorted out thanks to my attendance at this event last year. Not to mention that everyone who buys a ticket is also automatically entered to win $1,000 redeemable at any vendor who attends the event. Bonus, I will also be there this year, but this time I will be podcasting live. So if you're looking to save on your big day and you need wedding ideas, buy yourself some tickets today before they sell out and come say hi. The link will be in the description box below. Why would a couple choose destination wedding over a local wedding?
We're easily talking about $100 grand, $200 grand for a wedding.
Have you seen any red flags in relationships amongst couples getting married that would predict whether the success or lack thereof of this relationship?
Mother-in-law comes into play, or the father, or the person who's paying the bill at the end.
What's the worst wedding travel mess you've ever had to fix?
They were supposed to have a designated area to travel their dress. It's written on black and white in your contract. The airline gives to me, and then you get there, and then, the flight attendant was having a bad day. No, sorry, that place is full.
What makes a bridezilla a bridezilla?
Sometimes you have brides who have these big wish lists and desires, and a groom will come in to say, like, I want to make her happy, but you're capping me at this budget.
Explain the difference between elopement and destination wedding. Welcome to Wedding Wednesday, the podcast that's about to spill all the tea on what it's like to plan a wedding from the bride's perspective and all the details no one talks about. I'm creating the podcast I need to keep me sane and feeling less alone as I plan my own wedding. We're diving deep into the hilarious, messy, and sometimes crazy world of wedding planning and wedding horror stories. Get ready to laugh, cry, and maybe feel a little less alone in this wedding planning madness. Hello. Welcome back to Wedding Wednesday. My name is 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿𝐫, and today on the podcast, we have a modern travel agent who is here to tell us all the things that we need to know if we're planning an elopement, a destination wedding, and of course, even destination honeymoons. Before we dive in, I'm going to ask you to please rate, review, subscribe, do all the things because it really does help our podcast grow. With that, let's say hello to Anthony La Para Santori. Hi, Anthony. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me. What an honor.
Of course. Welcome to Wedding Wednesday. I can't wait to ask you all the things when it comes to luxury wedding travel and destination wedding planning. But before we get into it, tell me, how did you get into the whole travel planning of it all?
Travel planning. In a nutshell, my mother was a travel agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
The company was started literally when I was born. So I was born into it. I grew up in it. I was a single mother for the most part. So I was traveling with her as much as I could when I was a kid. I truly think it was one of the more formative things that developed my personality and/or character or my worldview growing up. So I had the privilege of having the opportunity to go into it later on. It was never forced, never pushed upon me. My fondest memories as a kid was really traveling with her. This was a time before cell phones and laptops, right? So when you traveled with your mother, who was a very busy mother for the most part, I got my real mother when we were traveling. And I saw the joy it brought us to be together with her because she was quite busy back home. And I realized that, we're lucky to do that. And she sold that experience to people, right? I will maybe quantify that later in life, but I understood that, everybody wants to travel. And people spend a lot of money on traveling, despite all of the challenges that it comes in the digital landscape. But, that sentiment that I had as a kid, that's what followed me. And then when I became, an adult and had to figure out what I wanted to do for myself, it was a no-brainer. I mean, I still went to university and went a marketing background because human psychology and these... 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿𝐫. Me too. Well, I started at McGill and at 𝐷𝐸𝐿, and then I transferred over. Long story. But yeah, I ended up finishing at 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿𝐫. And a lot of how we apply certain things, and especially in marketing, it was good to have an academic background, but the best school of life or business school is running the business or working in it. So
you don't have to tell me twice. That is so true. Yeah. What is your if you had to pinpoint one fond memory from your childhood traveling with your mom, what is it?
There's so many. So I'll break it down in two of them. Luckily, my birthday always fell in spring break. The school's spring break every year, so I was lucky enough that every spring break was a vacation somewhere in a warm spot. My birthday's in March, so it was always cold. It always fell in school break, so from as little as I can remember all the way until I had spring break vacations, we would go there, normally in a sun destination. Then a little later, like say early teens, we had the chance to go back to Sicily and her hometown where she was born. And obviously, Italy, everybody knows Italy as the very beautiful scenery, landscapes, all the fun stuff that we see online, but where she's born is, it's non-touristy. at the bottom of the island, a very rural area. So to have gotten there, my mother looking around her Louis Vuitton, and then we can't even find, Wi-Fi. There wasn't even Wi-Fi back there, but taxi signals to get around and, find exactly. She had a mission to find the house or the street where she was born on.
Wow.
And it took us all day, and we ended up getting there. And it was, I guess you realize it now, was a lesson to show us that where we came from, the life that we live now, and then that, she was born in this little house that, had 2 bedrooms, but they grew up, 4 sisters and then their parents and their uncles and aunts and their cousins and this little thing, and, where we are now. So that marked me to understand that how far they've come, and, how fortunate we were to be able to go back to this is a tourist, and some people still live there. And in fact, her neighbors that we found that were there were still the same neighbors that she had when she grew up, when she was born. We're talking 50 years later, 40 years later, or whatever it was. And the only reason she knew that, she literally asked the woman, "Is your name this?" And, they're looking at you funny because they know we're not from there. We're dressed differently. It's not a lot of large people. I've been a big person since I was a kid, so there wasn't a lot of us. They knew, but, the whole street is on their balcony. Like, who are these people? Why are they walking here? There's no hotels around here. So that was something that marked me quite a lot, to say, okay, she's come far. So
wow. Yeah. I love that. And you're really lucky that you went with your mom to see where your roots really stemmed from. My parents last year, 2 years ago, they did a trip to Egypt, and they brought my grandparents on my mom's side of the family. And my dad wanted to bring his mom, but she's too old. Like, she couldn't travel there. And when they came back from that trip, they kind of spoke about it, like kind of how you're speaking about it, where they got to see their roots. They got to see the apartment where they grew up, where they lived. Like, it almost touches you on a soul level, because it's so rooted in in the previous generations, that's what makes it so special. So I love that you had the chance to do that.
Absolutely. I think if anybody has immigrant parents, I think whether with them, if you can, God bless if you can, but try and go back to maybe not the house they were born in, but the area where they come from, because, everybody has a story. There was that time, I guess, that generation of our parents were all fleeing things or looking for better opportunities that maybe they weren't present where they were from. And, sometimes it's lost upon us now because we just, we were born here and this is the life that we live. But I think to answer your original question, what marked me the most, I'm like, there was a lot of fun going on spring break because there were fun moments, but that was like, oh, okay, as a 13-year-old boy or whatever it was, I'm like, oh, we're far from where we were. And, to see my mother, how she came out and how she did it was quite the experience.
Yeah, I'm sure. Tell me about the lure of destination weddings, okay? Why would a couple choose destination wedding over a local wedding?
A lot of reasons, and in no specific order, but it comes to, adding convenience, let's say. It's no secret, weddings are quite expensive here. Great. Local weddings tend to have larger guest lists. If you see where I'm going with this, a destination wedding is, if nothing else, a fraction of the cost of what a local wedding is here, depending on where you get married. But on average, even if you do get married in Italy, when you break it down to the singular day versus what it costs to get married here, that's one thing. Now, a lot of people have bigger families, and sometimes they feel obligated to have to invite everybody that's here. And it's a one day, even in the most beautiful, and I've been to some fantastic weddings here at some great venues, but it's a big day. And I'm saying this both as being in a bridal party where I was up at 5 a.m. and went to bed at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And seeing just, how hectic it can be where, you're in the bridal party, it's one thing, but the bride and groom, that you're trying your best to enjoy it, but it's probably one of the most stressful days of your life. And I think it's almost a shame because you're supposed to take it in. And I was just at a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and, you see they're having a good time, but it's stressful. I gotta make sure I spend time with them, and there's costs, and there's time. There's a lot that goes into it. Almost seems sometimes like a very expensive chore. And sometimes, of course, you have to appease other people's opinions, guest lists or things, whereas the destination wedding, by default, you're not going to bring 300 people. God bless if you can. Great for me. But, it's going to normally be your core people, your best friends, your immediate family, the people who want to be there. And you're not getting a singular day. You're going to get 3 days, most likely a week, whatever time frame you had. You have more than one day to spend with the people that mean the most to you, and you get more of an experience. And that kind of allows you to unwind as you arrive and kind of gel into it and, enjoy the time. You have now time to spend with everybody. And, we live in a beautiful city and there's some great spots for pictures, but a lot of times would you rather have it in front of a villa in Tuscany or on a beautiful sunset on a Caribbean beach? That goes into it. It's part of the decision that you take here, where you're going to pick your venues or where you're going to do your pictures. That's kind of embedded in the whole package down there, right? It's your ceremony by sunset on the beach. It's dinner in a vineyard if you're in Italy or wherever that might be. So a lot of those things go into it. But the key factors are spending more time with the people you love most and reducing the cost significantly. It might seem like but we have to travel. Okay, so yes, you're imposing a cost on your guests, unless you're in a situation where you're paying for all your guests to show up, then even better. But in most cases, people tend to pay their flights and their hotels down there. Fine, but then the cost itself of the day, which usually the venues or the hotels that you're doing them at, are all built in together. So there's a lot less stress. You don't need as many auxiliary things like a limo driver, depending on where you might get married. If you're doing it at a hotel down south, a lot of things are centralized there, and it's just a different backdrop, and it's just a different energy when you're down there. So saving on costs, reducing your guest lists to the most important people, and spending more time with people is what I'd say the biggest allure of destination weddings would be.
Do you say people end up spending actually less on decor because they're already in such a beautiful scenic place?
Yeah. A lot of, if I use the example of Italy, a lot of the places that I work with, they have their setups. It's already there. It's part of it. It doesn't require outside vendors. That's another aspect too. Like you're dealing with the properties who have, they bring the caterers or all the vendors to you. Sure, you have to choose your flowers and this, but you don't necessarily have to go search outside. Sometimes people who've done it on their own overcomplicate it. They don't realize that if you go straight to or work with a professional who already has the connections. Like, you tell me where you want to get married, I'll bring you to the doorstep of everybody you need. You don't have to independently go out and find the florist in a city that you've never been to, right? And then they always have about 3, 4, 5 options per every type of thing you need, whether it's flowers, decor, menus, all that kind of stuff, entertainment, they bring it to you. So it's kind of turnkey in that sense. Obviously, I'll toot my own horn. When you work with a professional, I have my people in all key destinations. So you tell me Italy, north, south, or central, or the same thing, Caribbean, Mexico, any other nice destination beaches. Like, I have the people that I've worked with. I understand that a lot of brides come extremely, I say brides, grooms too, but mostly brides.
I mean, call a spade a spade.
Exactly, right? Grooms show up when it's time to pay or when it's time to, cut the guest list, but, we'll get into that. But that's the point of what the service that I offer, is to kind of make it as turnkey and as stress-free as possible. There's a lot that goes into it. And at first it comes some people shy away from the thought of getting a destination wedding because it seems overbearing. Flights, isn't it? That's the whole entire point. Come with a dream, let's have a chat, and then the team and I will do the rest and give you multiple options. And then when you realize, okay, everything's in one place, we identify timelines, all the things you need to know, because I've been doing this for 15 years, it makes it fun. You get to start dreaming again. And then it becomes your real dream wedding because we'll see with the data, but I'm almost confident if you're giving people the choice, if budget wasn't a factor, would you rather get married here in Montreal or in a villa in Tuscany?
Abroad, no question.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Because of that, I always feel like it's important. I want to help more people understand that it's feasible, and it doesn't mean that it's going to cost you 3 times the amount. Now, of course, to each their own. Some people have the means to it, and it's not even about saving money here. They just want to get married in their dream destination.
Yeah.
Let's go for it too. But, for, let's say, younger couples today, we know what the cost of living is over here. We know what the cost of the venues or the plates or all the things that go into it. We're easily talking about, $100,000, $200,000 for a wedding over here.
Yeah.
Easy. I promise you it's not what it costs to go down there, including your travel. For something that would seem even more theatrical or dramatic in the best way than a wedding over here, waking up by a beach or in a vineyard with, the people you love most. Because those who are going to make the trek are probably significant in your life.
Explain the difference between elopement and destination wedding.
Elopement, to the best of my knowledge, is just the bride and groom going by themselves, right?
Okay.
Then a few of those. There's no common denominator or thread to why that. Some couples, it was their second wedding and they don't want to burden anybody. Some people were younger and didn't have big families. Some people were I just want to go and do it by myself. We can do that. A lot of hotels, anywhere. The same places you would have a big wedding, you can have a small wedding. I think that's more I don't think there's a thread or something in common that each of these people have, but there's a reason that they might want to have a smaller one. For whatever that reason is, it's just a term of describing a small intimate wedding, whether it's just to the bride and groom or the bride and groom and parents and immediate family, consider that. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. What about the planning of it all? So tell me about the difference between you booking the accommodations, booking the flight, and actually finding the floors, like the wedding planning part of destination. Kind of like, how do you piece it together?
It always starts with, having a discussion with the bride and groom before discussing where you want to go. And it's obviously a part of it. And to understand you guys, your love story, why are you thinking of doing it abroad? And usually by asking them enough questions, you kind of get to the center of why there is this allure. And sometimes it's just, it's the dream. It's what I wanted. I had this in my head as a little girl before I even met my fiance. And, my heart's set there, and that's what I'd like to do. Other people, they'll literally be straight up with you. It's my way of bringing only the people I want to avoid having to do it over here. Sometimes it's a combination of it all, but it starts with, okay, but tell me, have you as a couple, have you traveled together? How's your experience traveling together? Do you already live together? Where did you guys meet? How long have you been together? How are your families? What are your backgrounds? Is there any ethnicities that come into play that factor into how we're going to piece this all together? And their desire to want to get there. And a lot of times it's more for very much centered around, the dreaminess of it all. Call it what it is. I mean, given the option, that's what they'd like to do. And then we like to work with that because some people, I've had that often where they come like, but I don't think I can get married here because it just seems like it's too expensive or it's just like that, which it's not always true. You need to break it down thoughtfully and intentionally. And when it comes to planning it per se, I mean, now that comes with experience, but, we have our key preferred, vendors and destinations. I work with the same 5 hotels in Italy. And usually there's a winner in there based on the styles that I've understood that most people like. And they're spread out from the north all the way to the south, and a lot of them in Tuscany because it's just one of the more colorful, scenic places that you can have people, and, who says wine, who says wedding, says wine and food. And, it's all part of it down there. Same thing for down south. I mean, down south groups are broken up into, let me find out about the makeup of
the Caribbean, you're saying?
Yeah, sorry, it's like South Caribbean, Mexico.
So you specialize in Italy?
Specialize in Italy and anywhere where there's a beach. Put it that way.
That's your specialty.
Yeah, doesn't mean I can't do them elsewhere. But, somebody told me I want to get married in Croatia. I'm not going to say no, but I'm telling this, and I'll get to it because I had the same process. I have a registry of people internationally of whom I can work with. But if you're telling me Italy and anywhere that there's a beach, predominantly in the Caribbean or Mexico, yeah, that's my bread and butter. And again, after doing this for so long, understanding venues and styles, like I know which hotels have sky views. Some people don't want to get married by the pool, or some people don't want those big mass beaches where there's the guy in the Speedo passing into your picture, or some people don't want an area where it's too noisy and too party-like, right? They want some type of level of sophistication. And then some people, travel, the groups have kids. We need to make sure the kids are entertained. It's not just about us, right? People are coming for 3 to 7 days or whatever that may be. Everybody has to be accommodated. So, it's very simple to pinpoint after a long enough conversation. Okay, you're going to fit into some of these things. And then once you get there, I have, good relationships with a lot of their wedding planners. So there's wedding planners in destination for there. So I work with them. I'll start it off. Obviously, me and my team handle all the heavy logistics, which are your flights, your hotels, getting your group contracts. You want to make sure that people are coming and that everybody pays the same price to make it attractive for everybody. Pays a better price than they would normally be seeing if they were to book it themselves online. That's part of the advantage, right? When you decide that you're going to get married abroad, you're not getting 100 people to say yes tomorrow. So
right.
There's a whole game plan that spreads out. And listen, we're going to lock in a price for 90 days. It's going to allow you the time to go to your people and say, this is what it is. This is what it costs. These are the dates. These are the payment deadlines. So are you able to make it? Make your arrangements. If you need a babysitter, take off work, whatever it may be, save, put money aside. We outline that for them. So we, have a bunch of working documents with timelines to let everybody know that, okay, this is how we accompany you out through this whole process. You're not left alone here. Once we have the conversation, you literally are going to hand or send to your people all the information that directs them back over here. So that we communicate and say, hey, once a week, whenever you want it, this is how many people have booked. This is where we're at. This is how many spots are left. We communicate so you know who to get on and you know where we are in the time frame. Deposits come in and then there's a payment deadline much further, but you know that in black and white ahead of time. Prior to choosing your spot as well, we have meetings, virtual meetings, obviously, with the wedding planners there. Once I have an idea, okay, let's call it three options that we're going to finalize on. We'll go through each of them with their destination wedding planners because I'll have already presented to you, the entry level. This is what it's going to look like. These are the venues that are options. These are the menus. These are the decor. These are the settings. They have big libraries online of, what they've done for other weddings to give you inspiration and whatnot. And then you have a more intentional conversation with them where I accompany you. But each hotel will have their own people on the ground there. Because as much as I can know everything, can't be everywhere all at once. And I don't ever try and pretend like I'm the one who's going to tell you what color flowers that you're going to use. I'll make sure that you're talking to the right person for it. But we very much work as a collaborative effort. So I beg you to the doorstep nice and warm. I know which hotels deliver. I know which hotels are let's stay away from. And because we do so many repeat weddings with a lot of the same people, they're always happy to say, I got another group for you. I got another bride for you. And, we show them exactly what is possible and just outline and map them a plan. I mean,
what does the plan timeline-wise look like to plan the wedding? Like, how much time do you need to plan a wedding abroad like this? And what's a big wedding versus a small for those two?
I tell you, the average size weddings that I do anyways are usually between the 30 to 60 person range. I've also done a 160 people wedding, and I've done a 10-person wedding. So, but on average, they're around that. I tell you, a fair planning timeline. I mean, listen, the earlier the better. It's always what it is. But sometimes you can't commit to that early. Most couples will come to me at usually the in between. I tell you, 10 to 16 months in that range. And I've also had couples come to me 6 months out. It's it's all feasible. It obviously goes with what's available. And then, you want to come 6 months out, no problem. Are you sure that you're going to be able to mobilize all of your people to go at the same time? You know that. I don't know your group, right? I always try and encourage the earlier the better. If you want to maximize your guest list and make sure the most amount of people can come, you probably want them to have the most amount of time to make a decision, both financially and for time or for whatever it is. And you also want to have first choices. Sometimes a lot of hotels are popular for these things. So, and you're not only competing with international guests, you get a lot of people who locally get married at these venues. So you might be right on time, and it's happened. I've had couples at 18 months out, and the venue I want on their date, it's already booked.
Wow.
So I got to fix and move and do.
So like the earlier you are, timeline is not smart.
It's not encouraged, but it's not impossible either. And again, we don't say no to anything, but we'll be honest about it. Like, okay, we might not have the exact choice of what we want. You're telling me this. I think you might fit great to this property. We'll try our best, right? And it's not even just the venues themselves. Now, okay, you want to bring 60 people. Do I even have 30 rooms available at the property for these dates? So there's a lot of the logistical part of it. So that's why we encourage you the earlier the better. At the same time, life happens the way life happens. We're never going to turn away somebody, but we're going to try and guide them through the right process. But a general rule of thumb, between 10 to 14 months out, you're good. Like, you should have more than enough choice, especially if you're flexible by a date or two. If you tell me I can only leave on this week, then we got to play with what that week has, right? So, so long as you're flexible. And then, we start first by just, having that discussion, finding out what your dream is. Let's try and bring it to life. Let's start narrowing it down, having the meetings with the right partners, places. Let's find the ones we like. Once we narrow that larger list down to somewhere there, let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's see exactly,
Are they going over there though?
Pardon me?
Are you there going to tour venues in person?
Some have.
Some have.
So obviously, it's not everybody that can per se, but I tell you, a lot of these places are good at giving you a good feel for it. I also have, archives of people that have done it before. Some of them are willing to have conversations because I've had brides who know how stressful it is, and you become friends with these people because you're dealing with them for like over a year, right? You're talking to them almost every other day, if not every day. And so, once it goes smoothly, and that's how you grow a business, right? There's no better cosign than the person that you've satisfied. So I've had brides say, "Oh, please have them call me. I'll let them know everything that I learned along the way to, relieve their stress." And I also have 2 people on my team who've had destination weddings, which to me is, you don't take it from my mouth. They've done it. They planned their weddings. They went, they got the experience. And like anything else, right? If your personal trainer's in shape, if the person booking your wedding got married abroad, it kind of probably makes it a bit more less stressful, I'd say. So a combination of all that. My first weddings was tough. I knew I wanted to sell the thing, and I tried to instruct myself as best as I can. And this was even in a time before Zoom. Like, how did you talk to people there? I'm 36 today. I took my first wedding training. I was 22, and I sold my first wedding when I was 26. So I knew it was going to be a thing I wanted to do. I knew there was going to be most likely a demand for it in the market space, or just thinking, I'm going to enter a period where, people are going to get married in and around me. And it dawned on me then too, because I remember seeing my mother get these requests, but who's, had been divorced for 30 years, been thinking, she doesn't have patience for a wedding. And today's new bride or new couple or whatever it is. And but there's so much money you're leaving on the table, but you don't have the patience to want to handle it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So, and then I also saw from the client perspective, like, well, I don't want to deal with somebody who's going to send me to a hotel chain that they would vacation to now, but really I'm not of that. So I understood that there was a white space there. I'm like, people have this need and want to, but they have nobody to necessarily fill it. So I tried to get ahead of it from there. And, the first weddings came with in any industry, like
of course.
Crap, I forgot to submit a list on time, or just things that you learn, unfortunately, on the fly. But I mean, you assume things, right? The accountability, and it's always been a part of it. But yes, today's process is a lot more confident.
It's more smooth, I would assume. So, and you have to hire a wedding planner if you are doing abroad, or can the bride plan on her own? Or
well, so it depends. And when you work, and if you're doing it down south in the Caribbean, every hotel has their own.
They have somebody.
There's no need, they won't even allow an outside person. Like, they know their hotel, they know exactly their venue capacity, their menu capacity, all of their entertainment, there's spots. Like that's why a lot of the allure. I tell you, 80% of my weddings are down south for that reason. It's seamless, it's easy, it's nice, it's paradise, all that kind of stuff. And the hotels do a really great job. There's literally hotel chains that have launched brands turnkey for that. Like literally, we built this hotel for weddings. It's a wedding every other day or 6 days a week. We take off on Sunday or whatever, and you can see that every corner was crafted for a backdrop of something or the restaurant seating. So a lot of that, they'll have that. When it comes to Italy, a lot of the places, a lot of regions or certain hotels will have their own. But I've had a bride I've had more than one bride come to me saying, I started working with a wedding planner down there and it was going great for venues, but now she's like, oh, well, to get your people down here, that's up to you. And that's another thing too. Like they're like, well, you want a person who lives in Italy to fly you 30 people down here, and they don't have the same call it connections for a hotel where I can get you a different group rate because I have a license that allows me to request a block of rooms. So sometimes I've met brides on the back door, which is fine. But at this point for me, when you come to with an Italy wedding, I have wedding planners down there. Are you free to shop your own? Sure. I'm relatively confident by the time I present to you, there's a winner in there as well, just based on what we've done together already. Again, I guess that's just the benefit of longevity in that place.
Yeah. I'm more so thinking from like, I come to you, you plan on we decided our venue together. You have decided like the timeline and everything for the wedding and when the guests come, and you book the accommodations and all the things for the guests. Great. Now you connect me with the wedding planner. Is she extra or is she part of your package? Okay, Montreal brides, I wanted to take a quick break to let you know it's not too late to grab tickets to the Elegant Wedding Bridal Show on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, right here in Old Montreal. I went to the event last year with my fiance and our moms, and we left with inspiration and ideas for our wedding. I have since hired so many of the recommended vendors. Let's just say I have my wedding cake, transportation, florals, and so much more sorted out thanks to my attendance at this event last year. Not to mention that everyone who buys a ticket is also automatically entered to win $1,000 redeemable at any vendor who attends the event. Bonus, I will also be there this year, but this time I will be podcasting live. So if you're looking to save on your big day and you need wedding ideas, buy yourself some tickets today before they sell out and come say hi. The link will be in the description box below.
She's always extra. She's always part of something else, but I don't necessarily charge a fee for the planning of the wedding itself of the day. I have a professional management fee because I'm handling 50 to 60 people over the course of a year. And then obviously, it's no secret that we get paid, but if you book 15 hotel rooms, the hotel is giving me back a commission for that without having to charge you any extra. Now the wedding planners themselves, most likely they charge for the time. Nobody's going to work it for free. Yeah. Hence why. What if the bride wants to plant her own flowers, let's say? Entirely her right. Pay for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they could do that. That's why we've purposely developed relationships with certain wedding planners for both things. Because sometimes a bride will find them before they find me. And then those wedding planners will come to me and say, hey, I got a group for you. You do your stuff. Perfect. All I got to do is worry about your day is planned. I just got to worry about getting you to the place and the rooms and the logistics. Getting picked up at the airport and all that kind of stuff. Building you an itinerary around it. Because if you go to Italy for 4 days, you're not just factoring the day of the wedding. You might want to do stuff with your group a few days before, rehearsal dinners and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I come into play, and vice versa. When I get a lead like that, I'm like, okay, if you're going to get married in this region, we're going to work with a planner that's there, unless I have, and I do have, certain places that own the hotel, and the same way like down south, they'll do it for you. It's part of that. Everything centered around your wedding is going to be happening at that specific hotel or that estate or that vineyard, and a lot of places in Tuscany, which is why it's one of my favorite places to do weddings. Is they're not hotels like you would think like a standard city hotel. These are hotels that have vineyards or things around them. So you're working directly with them. Bring everything in there, and them too. They have all their caterers, all their photographers. They'll give you a full list, and there's no extra cost for them. It's part of what they do because you're working with their hotel. It's usually a challenge when you have people, I want to get married in X place, and, we're going to do it at a venue that's not a hotel. That's where it becomes, okay, well, it's inevitable. You need to mobilize people there, and it's not that you can't do it. Of course you can do that. I try and push you with intention towards something that would meet all of your criteria, that fits into a mold that makes it easy for you, right? So, so I have partners in the north, central, and in the south, because those are the popular places to get. Yeah, so. Yeah. What's the worst wedding travel mess you've ever had to fix? Travel mess I've had to fix. I've had I'll be honest, there's never been anything so dramatic
Mm-hmm.
that it was like, oh my God, the wedding is ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Brides, they were supposed to have a designated area to travel their dress in plane, and then it's written on black and white in your contract the airline gives to me, and then you get there, and then the flight attendant was having a bad day. No, sorry, that place is full, we can't put it there. And now you have a stressed bride who's got to put her dress in an overhead, and getting that call at 6 a.m. when they're boarding the flight, and I'm like, hang on, let me see if I can reach anybody on a Saturday morning at an airline, things like that. Weather is always the biggest factor. You have zero control over it. Everything goes smooth. I have a pretty good track record, knock on wood, but I've had weddings, rained out, and the hotels are always prepared. You always have a backup venue. So for those thinking, yeah, well, that's another thing. I'm never going to get married abroad. I'm not guaranteed weather. You're not guaranteed anything. It can rain over here too.
Yeah.
I've been to more weddings here in the city that's actually rained than not. A lot of hotels will have a backup venue. It's just part of it. You're not going to make all this investment and make all these people leave for not having a guaranteed thing. But those are things. I think the biggest thing that happened, it wasn't even a wedding that I planned, but it was a friend of mine that was attending a wedding in, I want to say the Philippines or Bali, somewhere that needed a visa to get in. And she's in a bridal party, and nobody told her that she needs a visa to get in there. So she couldn't get into the country the day that they had to leave before the wedding, and she wasn't going to get the visa in time to make it for the wedding. So she was no longer going to the wedding. No. She wasn't the maid of honor, but she was at a bridal party, and she called me in tears. Like, is there something you could do? Can you get a fast track of this visa? I'm like, no, sorry.
Oh my!
Like, I can get you the exact amount of time. If you literally apply for it now, it'll come in 3 days, and the wedding is in like 3 days.
Yeah.
So, but they won't let you board a plane unless you have it. So that was sad. But it wasn't a wedding that I had planned. She had called me, and that wasn't the time to plug my service. But I think she understood from afterwards. But
wow.
Again,
what about COVID?
COVID, what COVID was, after it was all said and done, helped my business like crazy, because the cost of everything went up. There was venues that were backlogged now for like literally 2 years. So you couldn't, and there were so many COVID relationships or COVID proposals. I was a COVID proposal during COVID. So a lot of people came to us for that.
Yeah.
And there was a really big boom in the wedding market. Not just anybody who did what I did in that space. A combination of the venues here were all booked for quite some time, and the ones that weren't were now 3 times the price that they were before COVID, for all the reasons that we know, inflation, whatever the hell, making up for money that you lost over the last years before that. So there was a big demand for that. Took full advantage, as anybody would. So that was great. It's subsided in terms of crazy. Like, there was, I think 2022, we had like 25 weddings.
Wow.
Like all in the range of 30 to 100 people. Like, I had to hire 2 people just to manage that stuff, because I can only do so much in there, right? Which is a fantastic problem to have.
Of course.
It's something to manage the logistics of it. So God bless for that. It's kind of subsided a little bit now, but now I know those people are having kids now and traveling with their families. So there's always a long tail to that too, and what it is we do. So obviously we do a lot of weddings, but we full service travel agency as well. So I always look at it from that longer lens. Destination weddings too, your original question. It's also an embedded honeymoon, right? You're already away.
Is it though?
Most people will still go do something else afterwards, but it's a great start. Like, if you got married in Italy, like, you're already there. You can just keep going further, or hop onto anywhere in Europe, or same thing when you're down south, let everybody leave and then change hotels. You know what I mean? You're already there.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot too.
Have you seen any red flags in relationships amongst couples getting married that you would say would predict whether the success or lack thereof of this relationship?
I think that's more a psychology question, but
just from your funny anecdotal experience.
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, yeah, this couple won't last. Or
what do they do that makes you think that?
I have to be careful, because they might see this. Yeah, there's certain things. I don't think there's anything one specific. I think a lot of what I do is I have to talk a lot and ask questions. I have to have some type of an ability to, read a person and with good intentions. I have to understand, what their wants and desires are, and I can sometimes tell that one of the two cares about this more than the other, and one of them is just playing along because they don't really have a choice. And that to me just screams later in life. Like, today it's planning your wedding, tomorrow it's whatever bleeds into your personal life. One of these people is clearly taking the reins, and not because you're not capable of doing it, but they just feel like they need to be, that kind of stuff. That's what I think.
I think you're trying to say they disregard their partner.
I don't even think it's disregard. It's just that it's almost like some of them, the other partner knows, like, I'm not even going to bother.
Okay.
This isn't about me. And then then when you start meeting the family too, then the mother-in-law comes into play, or the father, or the person who's paying the bill at the end. You know what I mean? So like at first, it's sometimes you have brides who have these big wish lists and desires, and then it's like, okay, and then the groom will come in to say, like, I want to make her happy, but like, you're capping me at this budget. No matter what she says, that's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
And then I can also, sometimes from the involvement of the grooms. When I have an involved groom and I can see that the bride and groom communicate, like, I can tell right away when I spend a lot of, I pride myself in being over, almost to a fault, like explaining too much, because there's so much to go into it. And I never want to be caught like I didn't say this or I didn't say that, and and then I see that, like, okay, there's zero communication between the two of you, and now I have to start repeating, which I'll do with a smile. I work for you, not the other way around. I get it, but like, I can tell who's on the ball, who's not on the ball, and again, it's just in my mind a projection to what your actual life as a couple is. If you can't get together on the what should be, in my opinion, the most important planning that you've ever done, you'll have to deal with whatever that leads into later in life. And then there's I like to call them the pushover grooms, just like whatever she says goes. I'm like, man, is that what you want? It's your wedding day too. Just don't want to tell them, but I mean, I'll try and.
So you think?
It's I don't get paid to.
Yeah,
to act, right? But I mean, it's again, this is like in this 𝐶𝐭 your friend group. I'm sure you have friends there, and like they bring in their new boyfriend and new spouse. I'm like, yeah, these ones are going to jive. This one's going to be good, and this one is the flavor of the month, and it won't. So it's no different than what we do. It's just you're paying me for a service, and I will render the service, and let you guys worry about whatever happens afterwards.
How involved does family get?
I'd say quite a bit. Sometimes the maid of honor, if it's a family member, it's a sister, mother, but I'm not gonna say mother-in-laws, mothers in general, both sides. They when it comes down to the planning of the day itself, and sometimes there's a lot of I see super maids of honor who want to
maids of honor. I like that.
They come and they want to make sure that it goes. Whether it's their best friend or their sister or whatever it is. You want to be there and participate in whatever it is and help them alleviate the stress. They help with the decision making. Then there's the Bridezillas. We all, it's a popular term, and it's not that.
What makes a Bridezilla a Bridezilla?
With time, I think I'll sum it up to, I understand that you want what you want. There are a lot of moving parts to this, and I will always try and get you everything of what you want, but sometimes you can't always get what you want.
Somebody who throws a temper tantrum, you're kind of saying?
It's a temper tantrum. It's listen, this is what I want. You're going to find a way to do it. Sure. I can't create more seats on an airplane that are finite, or can I create more rooms in a hotel if you decided to not get ahead of it, or that your, immediate family were amongst the last ones to book, and you all have the same last name, and like I'm supposed to know which ones are which. You know what I mean? Like it's that there is a. I'm supposed to carry you all the way through it. There is a small amount that you're gonna have to participate a bit, and so
which is reasonable,
sure.
Course.
But then it comes down to, well, no. This is my wedding, and like they have to be on this flight. I'm like, yeah, well, you had a deadline, and we're past that. And most of the times you could. There is a circumstance where if you're deciding a month before, and there's 180 seats on the plane, and 180 seats on the plane are booked, okay, I'll get them there. They might not be on the same flight as you. No, the same flight as me. I'm like. No.
Yeah.
What do you want me to tell you? Like, I can't do that. So it doesn't happen often. And there's things like that. Or sometimes they think like they're negotiating at a flea market. I'm bringing them 60 people, so tell them to slash the cost of the meal. I'm like, this is a Hyatt, ma'am. They don't care. They're not gonna barter and negotiate with like into that degree. And the worst part is like there is ways of doing that. I'm
sure for some things.
Of course there is, and there are human beings, but you have to know how to play it. And if you want something in return from somebody, what are you giving them? Other than I'm bringing you rooms. Okay, well, everybody's bringing you rooms. Yeah. And in this situation, they have all the bargaining power. But especially I'm Italian. I deal with a lot of Italians. You get the if I pay them cash, I'm not going to pay them cash. Lend them the same currency. So let's just get that out of the equation. So but those types of things where and it's again, there's no specific common thread, but it's an
example.
Yeah. But the Bridezillas are I don't take no for an answer. I'm like, okay, or I want what I want. Okay, that's what this costs. What? You're crazy. I'm like, some people have the budget. You can almost tell, like when you have the money. Some people just exude an aura, or you just know. Some other people, they want what they want. They have caviar taste, but they have your budgets. It's always been a struggle of how do you let them off easily, saying that, I can get you fireworks. They cost $3,000 a minute.
A minute.
What? I can buy fireworks at the convenience store. I mean, you're not at a convenience store. You're at a wedding.
Yeah.
So that's what they charge.
Yeah.
So take it or not, and so we can move on with the next thing. So, but yeah, I say that I'm laughing now. In the moment of you in a perfect world, and that's usually how it goes. Everything you want, I can get to you. Trying to do. There's always going to be a cost to any extra up and above. I've had, I'd say in certain destinations, can I come in on a horse? I'll find the horse if I can.
Oh my God.
Some places allow it, some places don't. That's happened once. But fireworks is a common thing. So, can I get fireworks? I mean, you could get fireworks, but there's a cost. And on average, they cost about anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000 per minute.
Wow.
So if you want, 3 minutes of fireworks, 5 minutes of fireworks, it's, some people have it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I spend $5,000 for 5 minutes USD with today's currency, right? Exchange rate. So
probably not. Well, some might.
And most have. But again, they're too that comes with time. It also comes with a certain level of experience. You kind of read people a little better. But that some people are asking because they can, and then some people are asking because they're wishful. And to each their own. Budgets are very personal. But I can get that done. It's going to cost.
Right. Anthony, I'd love to play with you a game of Would You Rather Travel Nightmares Edition. Are you ready? Rapid fire. Would you rather lose the couple's luggage with the wedding dress inside or lose the groom's passport the night before?
I would lose the groom's passport the night before. You shouldn't be traveling if you're getting married the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, fair.
It's an easier solve because you can get a passport in 24 hours.
You can? Okay, good.
24 to 48 hours. If you have, in most cases, I don't think you're going to get your custom dress remade. So the passport, because I can fix a passport faster than I can fix a dress.
Fair. Have the entire bridal party stuck in a different country or have the wedding cake melt on arrival?
No, the wedding cake melt on arrival.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's less dramatic. It's there's something else to eat. You can't replace your friends.
Totally agree. Would you rather deal with the groom getting food poisoning the morning of the wedding or deal with the bride's hairstylist missing their flight?
The hairstylist missing their flight because they're too. If the groom's sick, you can't replace the groom. You can replace the hairstylist. It might not be the hairstylist of choice, but that's replaceable. The groom's presence and energy is a little bit more volatile, I guess.
Yeah. Would you rather have the wedding band not show up or have the officiant forget their lines and wing it? Oh, that's a good one.
If I'm answering for myself, I'd rather I have a good sense of humor for things. So if the guy forgot his lines, I'd riff with him and try and figure it out to make the best out of a situation. Forgetting the band too dramatic because again there too it was custom. It was, I don't know. It's hard to replace. So I'd say the officiant.
Would you rather manage a 200-person guest list on a tiny island in Italy or manage a 15-person wedding in a blizzard at the top of a mountain?
The 200-person in a tiny island. I love travel before I love the weddings. So to me, weddings is just an extension of what I love most, and it's also an opportunity to showcase what I do best at scale. So give me the challenge of getting the 200 people in a smaller island. It's bigger impact for bigger return.
You prefer that.
Has to get married in a blizzard.
Nobody
even if you nobody wants to. Everybody wants to do that. So give me the challenge of what you want to do versus figuring out what you didn't want to do to begin with.
Yeah,
every day.
Totally agree. Thank you so much for being on Wedding Wednesday, Anthony.
Thanks for having me.
Should we let the listeners in on a little thing we put together for them?
Absolutely.
Well, for all the Wedding Wednesday pod listeners, we have a credit for you if you guys book a destination wedding, elopement, or honeymoon with Anthony and you use the code Wedding Wednesday, you get a travel credit. So it's definitely worth doing so if you're contemplating any of the above. Just reach out to him. Maybe you can tell the listeners where everybody can connect with you.
Fastest way is through Instagram. Handle is at Tony.LaPara1 because apparently there's another Tony La Para out there in the world who's not answering my DMs. So yeah, you can find me there. TikTok too, Tony.Travels with a Z. Perhaps maybe in the description of this episode you could have the email address there to reach me and my team directly.
Yes.
The company is Groupe Voyage Montréal. So if you look at groupevoyagemontreal.com, you'll find a registry or directory of our wedding team and our services. will be at the Elegant Wedding Show on November 2nd as well. I think you're participating to that as
am,
well. So if
yes.
anybody out there listening is passing by the show, please, feel free to pass by the booth and chat with us.
Yeah.
Even if you're not planning a wedding, it doesn't matter. Weddings, honeymoons, one of the two you should be planning. So, and bachelorette parties too. Those are important things. There's a lot of, sometimes they go hand in hand. People get married here, they go bachelorette abroad, bachelor party abroad. So we do that as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed our podcast, feel free to rate, review, subscribe, do all the things because it really does help our podcast grow. If you have any crazy wedding horror stories you'd like to share with us, you can email it at hello@weddingwednesdaypod.com. And with that, I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Okay, Montreal brides, I wanted to take a quick break to let you know it's not too late to grab tickets to the Elegant Wedding Bridal Show on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, right here in Old Montreal. I went to the event last year with my fiance and our moms, and we left with inspiration and ideas for our wedding. I have since hired so many of the recommended vendors. Let's just say I have my wedding cake, transportation, florals, and so much more sorted out thanks to my attendance at this event last year. Not to mention that everyone who buys a ticket is also automatically entered to win $1,000 redeemable at any vendor who attends the event. Bonus, I will also be there this year, but this time I will be podcasting live. So if you're looking to save on your big day and you need wedding ideas, buy yourself some tickets today before they sell out and come say hi. The link will be in the description box below.